So in this video I'm going to be discussing whether insulin really made you fat in the first place. Morning boys and girls from the Nottinghamshire countryside here in the UK. It's around about 7 o'clock in the morning. It's a little bit overcast, but it's got all the signs of being a nice day. If I'm looking a little bit tired, it's because I've just finished doing my morning run, and I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning, so I've only had probably about 6 hours worth of sleep. So if I look rough, I do apologise. And it's not like I know how to produce anything to get rid of my wrinkles and my aginess. But anyway, I digress. As I mentioned, I'm writing this little bit of an ebook, which is going to be a guide to losing weight with a carnivore diet. And I was wondering if you could do me a favour. If you've got any suggestions for content and topics you want covering, if you leave us a comment below, the best suggestions, I'll actually do a write-up about those subjects and topics, and I'll give you a credit, so you'll be immortalised forever. Anyway, in this video, I want to be talking about whether insulin really was to blame for us putting weight on in the first place. Now, as you've seen from my before photos, I did put quite a lot of body fat on. There was a lot of inflammation, there was a lot of water being held, and for whatever reason, over the years, I was getting heavier and heavier and heavier through eating what I thought was a very healthy Western diet, full of fruit and vegetables and whole grains and things like that. But when you look back at it, I don't think all of it was down to what I was eating, simply down to how much I was eating. In my brain, I probably thought I was burning off far more calories than I really was. And because the weight gain was going on so slowly over the years, you kind of become accustomed to what you see in the mirror. And I'll be really honest, when I used to look in the mirror and see myself in the bathroom, I never actually thought I was fat. I didn't actually realise I'd got a big bloated head. And I kind of glossed over the fact that I'd got man boobs and, you know, a gut and things. I kind of just became accustomed to it. It's only when I look back at those photos that I see a difference. At the time, I didn't realise it. So, yes, insulin is a storage hormone. And if you've got excess carbohydrates in your meal throughout the day, you'll find your body will have insulin spiked, and it will try its best to cope with the amount of carbohydrates that you're giving it. If it can't use those carbohydrates up, it'll have to store it for body fat, otherwise you're going to be in serious problems. Now, if you looked at my old meals, where I used to get up and I'd have bacon and eggs, 4 slices of toast, maybe some baked beans, tins of tomatoes and things like that, and then I'd probably have, you know, fruit and yogurt and all manner of things. Most of that you could say, well, you know what, that's pretty healthy. It's just the amount I was eating. You know, if my body burns off 2,000 calories, but I was eating 1,000 or more in one sitting, and a lot of it being carbohydrates, it's going to get stored as fat. Unless I didn't eat anything for the rest of the day. But I would do that 3 or 4 times per day quite easily. And at night times, I mean, from rough calculations, I could consume anything from 1,500 to 2,000 calories. And I could see where I put the weight on. Now, I bring this up because a lot of people keep mentioning about insulin and how it's made them put weight on. A lot of people email me and say, look, you know, I need a diet which is low in triggering insulin because of these problems. Now, the thing I want to get across is, whilst fruits and vegetables have been demonised in the last few years, you know, through different diets and things people are putting out on YouTube, it's really quite rare to find somebody who's actually got fat, very fat or morbidly fat, from eating plenty of fruits and vegetables, unless they've got them said vegetables chopped them up, stuck them in oil and fried them. It's usually the things you have with your fruit and veg, or in place of your fruit and veg. The rice, the pasta, the bread, the corn, the sugars, all of those things were the real big contributing factor to getting your fat in the first place. It's just everything else of that meal got shuttled into body fat at the same time as it being there. I think I've just swallowed a fly. It don't taste particularly great, so if it makes me cough, you know why, it's trying to escape. But anyway, I'm not telling you to go out and buy fruit and vegetable. Completely opposite. Just bear in mind that what we did in the past is the past. We ate too much, we did too little. We put weight on gradually over the years, and it's very easy to blame something which is in the media, because it seems to solve all our problems really. If we blame the insulin demon, then it's its fault rather than our fault for just putting too much in a pie hole. I've done it, sure everyone else has done it. The thing you've got to bear in mind is everybody reacts differently to macronutrients. There are those people who are very insulin sensitive, who can eat a load of carbohydrates and they have no problems whatsoever. And then you've got those guys who just have a teaspoon worth of carbs and suddenly their insulin is going through the roof kind of thing. Now, that's all to do with our own physiology, how fit we are, how much exercise we do, what level of body fat we have. All these indicating factors determine just how well we cope with macronutrients in whole. For example, you've heard of this thing called the thermic effect of food, and how protein can be anything between 15 to 30% of the calories that you consume will be used to actually break down the protein and digest it. Now, the same thing happens with carbohydrates, different amounts between 5 and 15%, and fats between 0 and 10%. Now, it all depends on the individual. If you get somebody who's 15% body fat, works out at least an hour a day, does lots of activity and is busy, they'll be using 10% of the fat calories to actually break down the fat. Now, somebody who's 50% body fat, or even more, or somebody who's 40% body fat or more, they won't be using 10% of those fat calories to digest it. They will literally just store the fat if it's not used. In the same way, if you have carbohydrates and you're lean and you're very fit, you'll obviously use anywhere between 5 and 15% of the carbohydrate calories to again digest it and utilize it. But if you're 40+% in body fat, it can be less than 5%. So you can see how the tables are tipped towards being lower amounts of body fat and not higher amounts of body fat. Now, I know that probably seems really unfair, but the good thing about that is the more fat you lose, the more insulin sensitive you become, and your greater thermic effect of food. So if you start off at, I don't know, say 45% body fat and don't really do any exercise, don't do any activity, and then over the course of a year you bring yourself down to 30% body fat by having a small calorie deficit, eating a carnivore diet and doing plenty of activity, maybe some light exercise every single day, you'll find everything you eat takes a little bit more to burn off. Your body's more efficient. It's like the difference between a 1 litre petrol engine and a 5 litre V8. You know, one's going to burn more fuel than the other. It's all about conditioning your body to be more vital, be more active, more powerful in a lot of ways. You'll often see bodybuilders, massive, huge guys, and can lose 7 pounds in a night simply because they've been to sleep. And whilst a lot of people might say, well, that's the steroids doing that, it's not always the case. If they've got a huge amount of muscle mass, muscle cells are very, very hungry, and that's why they're continually eating through the day, and they're able to lose weight so quickly. I know a few of them, and it's often staggering just how efficient some of their bodies are. Same with athletes, track athletes. You know what, you can get some of them guys, they'll probably have 200 grams of carbs in one sitting, and they'll never ever put no weight on it. But if they've been training for years, they're naturally lean, they're just predisposed to be very, very efficient at burning those macronutrients. So to quickly recap, yes, insulin spiking should be avoided where possible. I would recommend being on a carnivorous diet, protein, fats, plenty of activity, plenty of exercise where possible. But while saying that, don't be under any illusion that it was fruits and vegetables which made you put weight on in the first place. It's always things like rice, pasta, bread, cakes, cookies, donuts, pizza. I mean, you don't know many people who go out to a pizza restaurant and have a slice of pizza. I know I don't. When I was eating pizza and when I was having it delivered, I never ordered a 14-inch pizza in to eat one slice. I ate the whole thing. That's just what you do. It's like you get a bag of fries, you know, potato fries. You never eat like 3 or 4 of them, you eat a bag full of them. So can't always put it down to what the food is which is making you put weight on. It's simply the amount we eat. Now, people have asked me a few times, what are my thoughts about fruit and vegetables on a carnivore diet? Now, I personally reckon if you're going to do the carnivore diet, you might as well do it as basically as possible, in the same way as I've been doing it, and most of the YouTubers are doing it, with just good quality animal-based foods and the fat what comes with them, or animal-based fats as well. But there are people who love vegetables, and I would say, well, if they don't make you feel ill and they make you feel happier, and you're more likely to stick with the carnivorous lifestyle for much longer by adding a few leafy greens in there. Obviously forget about things like potatoes and parsnips, turnips and sweet potatoes and stuff like that. But if you want to add leafy greens, crack on. I mean, if they don't make you feel poorly, but they make you feel fuller and happier and more likely to continue with a carnivorous lifestyle, then crack on. For everyone else, I would say listen to your own bodies. I mean, I've got no problem eating fruit and veg. If I went to someone's house and they didn't just put meat and fat on the plate and actually put, say, a pork chop with some salad on there, or some, you know, some greens, I wouldn't be rude and just push them to one side. I'd just eat them. It's a one-off meal. It's not a problem. It's not like I'm going to fall to bits. And the thing by doing that is I'm more likely to get re-invited back to that person's home. Nothing worse than having a fussy guest to a dinner party. Now, if there was, you know, if it was pork chop with salad and French fries, mashed potato, roast potatoes, rice, pasta or anything like that with it, now I would decline that. I would just say, look, don't put that on my plate, or, you know, who wants this? Be kind of fussy. But fruit and veg, I can't see that putting weight on you, to be honest. It's only when you have the things which are very high in, you know, natural sugars and things which are higher in carbohydrates. So your leafy greens, got no problem whatsoever with those. And some of them are actually, you know, you can absorb quite a decent amount of nutrients from them. I wouldn't say they're necessary in any way, shape or form, but, you know, if they make you feel better, I can't see it being a problem with it. So when my guide comes out, one of the things you'll straight away notice is I've tried to make it as simple as possible. I've not used any big terms, no illusions of grandeur. It's just the basic information for you to be able to pick up and run. You'll notice it's got little topics, brief write-up about the different topics, what I found what works, what I found what doesn't work, different eating protocols, and then there'll be a guideline for how much protein and fat you want to be eating in each meal. Now, something you will notice is there's a heavy reliance on knowing your body fat percentage, because with your body fat percentage, I may have been able to write an algorithm which works out your calorie expenditure, how much protein you need, how much fat you need based on this body fat percentage, and it also takes into account this thermogenic effect of food. So if you're 20% body fat, you'll notice you've got a higher proportion of fat to protein than you would if you're 50+% body fat. And that's to make sure you primarily burn body fat whilst dieting and not getting rid of lean mass, because we don't want to get rid of lean mass, we just want to get rid of fat. And we want to get rid of fat primarily because it takes longer to do. It shrinks you down, is that fat's being dissolved and, you know, being burnt off. What you find is, because the weight loss is steady and healthy, you get a lot less loose skin. Now, I know everyone wants to lose weight really quickly. I lost weight really quickly. I was kind of lucky, but in reality, I lost weight far too quickly. I did lose a little bit of lean body mass as well as body fat, because I was eating too little calories and doing too much work and too much exercise throughout the day. I didn't get any loose skin, but I was lucky. But when you see people who go on these ultra low calorie diets or fasting regimes for extended periods of time, you notice they've got a lot more loose skin, simply because the body just can't keep up with the rapid shrinking of the rest of your body, because you're getting rid of more than just body fat. You're getting rid of a huge amount of water, and your body will naturally be starting to shed some of the more expensive parts of your body. For example, your muscles use a lot of energy. If you cut your calories down too low and go into nutritional starvation, your body at some stage will go, you know what, I don't reckon much of this. I'm gonna have to start lightening the load and get rid of the things which are making me lose weight. I quite like being fat. You know, that's how your body kind of works. It's, you know, you've got to take things steady, do things a more healthy way. That's why I tend to reduce calories by, say, 250 calories per day, but look to burn the same amount or more through exercise. And that way you're forcing your body to adapt and overcome, but you're still getting all the vital nutrients to sustain your lean body mass. I mean, another way you could do it is not eat any less, just eat meat, fat, you know, a healthy carnivorous diet, and just do loads of exercise and activity. Make your calorie deficit that way. No problem whatsoever. So in all my videos, I try where possible to remember to remind you to be as positive as possible, to help other people as well as helping yourself, to think positively, try and solve problems rather than create problems. And a few people will say, well, why are you so positive? Why do you think like that? And if I'm really honest, it's because life is hard. Life can be crap at times, and life isn't your friend all the time. Sometimes you've got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe in what you want to achieve and what you want to do in life and how you want to help others for you to get through the rough times. I've not had the easiest life. I've not had the hardest life. But whilst I've been positive, I've noticed the universe has treated me pretty well, to be honest, and I've achieved an awful lot of things. So if I could pass any advice off, it is to be as positive and as helpful as possible to people. Doesn't mean you've got to be a pushover, doesn't mean you've got to be all soft and namby-pamby or anything like that. Just got to be positive, respectful towards other people, and just be generally a helping hand when you're required to. Because even the roughest, toughest guy responds well to praise. I mean, I work in the construction industry, and believe me, I've worked with some right rough arse people. And they'll be as rough as tough, they'll be drinking pints of beer every night, getting into punch-ups, brawling on a regular basis. But you want to see them change when they've done some good work, and you give them a pat on the back in a genuine way. You want to see. It's fantastic to see how they start appreciating it. Now, if you're a complete dick and you're always like denigrating somebody, berating them or bringing them down, you'll never get the best out of people. Treat people with positivity and respect, and you'll get absolutely tenfold out of that individual. If they're the right individual. If they're obviously taking the mick and think you're a soft touch, then cut the fat, get rid, find somebody who's more appreciative. So on that vein, I'd be very interested to know how you've helped yourself and how you've helped other people. What things do you plan to do? What strategies have you come up with for helping yourself and other people and things? You know, it'd be nice to know what the community we're developing has achieved. I think we've got a very positive community. I think we've got a very friendly community. I'm certainly, at the moment, until I get more moderators, a gatekeeper, because there is a lot of negative comments, not so much aimed at me, but aimed at general viewers of Carnivore and maybe some people commenting it, because I think what they want to do is try and break up the harmony that we've got and just try and make things difficult or less appealing, less safe to comment. You're going to get that wherever. You know, there's always some keyboard warrior somewhere in the world which thinks they've got a right to spout nonsense. Fortunately, I've got this fantastic delete button which just gets rid of all those. So keep the positive stuff coming, help each other out, give advice where you've got it. I don't know everything. If you know something more than I know, I'll always listen. I personally think that you learn something new every day, and if you don't learn something new, then you're missing a trick, aren't you? Okay guys, well, I'm coming to the end of the walk. I hope you're all looking after yourselves, helping other people, being positive, making plans for your future, coming up with strategies. If you've got problems, breaking those problems down into 10 steps of how you're going to solve that problem. Working with other people, communicating, networking, getting out in the fresh air, doing lots of activity, exercise, eating animal-based foods, fats, keeping away from junk food, keeping away from artificial sweeteners and sugar and all that crap which makes us ill. Just be true to yourself, feel great about yourself, and regularly stand in front of the mirror, look at yourself, but realise just how amazing you are, because you're the person making the changes, doing all the work and taking the risks. You're the person who gets up every morning and goes and tries to achieve something. Don't let anybody ever talk you down, make you feel bad about yourself. If people are fat shaming you, I'd literally stick my fingers up, tell them to off. Believe in yourself, push hard, be positive, know that you're on the right path. And if you meet people along the way who could benefit from your experience and your help and your positivity, bring them along for the ride. Anyway, I'm still out of breath from my run earlier. You could tell I'm old. I wish you all the very best. Have a great week to come. And if you've got any questions, drop them down in the comments box. My email is dave@carnivore.com. If you've got any problems, you know, you need help, you're stressed out about something, just give us a shout. I'll see what I can do. Anyway, I'll speak soon. Take it easy. Bye.